Inspections can be one of the things that really give buyers, sellers, agents anxiety between accepted offer and to closing. So I have 5 things that you may or may not have known about inspections. Inspections are not required. In this market, we are seeing buyers sometimes put in an offer, solid offer, but then not even do an inspection because they're trying to get the least contingencies to get the home. So you don't have to have an inspection. Michelle and I generally never recommend that. But if you want to get the home, that's one of the things you can do, no inspection. Tip 2, buyers pay for the inspection. Generally, that costs run from about $600 down, a lot of times under $500. Sellers can do a pre-inspection. So maybe you're worried there's going to be a lot of things in your house, you want to get them fixed ahead of time, or maybe you think there's nothing and you just don't want the buyers to bother with an inspection. You can get a pre-inspection. Now, if you do the pre-inspection, that doesn't mean the buyers never will, but it's highly likely, especially if you use a qualified, highly known, good inspector, then you can kind of skip that process after you accept an offer, but before closing. Tip 4 is inspections can affect the price of your home sale or your home purchase. If the inspector goes through your home and they find things, one of 3 things can happen. You can say, no big deal, not do anything about it as the buyer. The buyer could give the seller a list of things they want fixed before closing. At that point, the ball's in the seller's court. They can say, no, thank you, we're not going to fix them, or they can fix them. And then once that comes back to the buyer can decide, all right, if they said no, you can either get out of the contract or you can say, no big deal, I still want the house, and then you still move forward. The other thing the buyer could do is, instead of saying, I want these things fixed, to say, I want a credit. They want the seller to give them a credit at closing to make up for the things that they want done. Like, let's say they said the roof needs these repairs, then the buyer could say, okay, instead of fixing the roof, we want $3,000 so we can do the work. Once again, the seller then can say, okay, sure. Or they can say, no, we're not doing it. Or they could counter say, well, we won't give you $3,000, but we'll give you $2,000. So that whole inspection process can really affect the cost and the price that you're paying for your house or the price that you're getting for your house. Actually, the 5th thing, I have a bonus, is who the inspector is matters. Michelle and I have a list of like 4 or 5 inspectors that we use, and we use them for one reason and one reason only. They're really good. They find everything because that's really what's important. I think it's important from the buyers and the sellers aspect. As a seller, you don't want like something to happen 3 months after and the buyer said you knew about it and there's possible litigation. So I feel like the buyers and the sellers both want a really strong, excellent inspector. If you need a name for a few, contact Michelle or I. We've got great ones.